Welcome to Real Life and Archetypes. My name is Marina. I'm doing a quick check-in about the Karen Reed trial. So listen, archetypally, that's the hero's journey. Karen Reed is going through an ordeal. This is an absolute nightmare. I mean, being trapped like that. And this fantastical theory of conspiracy, it sounds nuts. Well, I actually agree. To me, this is the biggest case I have ever watched. I think it's a historic case, bigger than OJ, not because of the defendant. She's not that famous. I mean, OJ was more famous, but what is at stake to me is a lot bigger than the OJ case. It's absolutely insane, okay? We'll see what happens with the Idaho trial. But here's the thing. Now that the defense is presenting their case, Hank Brennan, who is a defense lawyer by trade, now gets to play what he's good at. Now he's in his natural element, because when he is a lawyer for the Commonwealth, for the prosecution, but now that the defense is presenting their case, he is able to cross-examine witnesses. It's a very different thing. For those who don't know, it's just the ability to be an asshole and to lead questions. So the defense now is doing the direct examination, and Brennan goes in and does his thing. So he picked up a little trick from Alessi already. He started to do that by the end of the Commonwealth's case. And what happened was that Brennan would do the direct, back then, of his own witness. Then Alessi would cross, and Alessi would just always leave something. And then Brennan would come back, redirect, and then Alessi would recross and bring some Easter egg. I don't know if you've noticed, but Alessi has been doing that, and Brennan started to pick up on that, and he started to do that too. So he is learning. The snake is learning. Listen, I don't like him. I think he's awful. He's gross. He's a snake. He's a weasel. He's an asshole, whatever you want to call him. But pay attention, especially today. You saw him with Dr. Russell and Nicholas Barrows. So here's the method of Mr. Brennan. He goes in, and he's very slowly, he starts to, destabilize the witness, to make them uncomfortable. He tries to delegitimize and, question the validity of their testimony, their memory, whatever. He did that in prior hearings. I already noticed that. And he managed to get under Dr. Russell's skin back then. I think she held her own a lot better this time. However, Brennan stays there, something that the defense never does. He remains there. He perseveres. And he keeps going at it. And he starts, looking. He's got a concept in mind, you can tell. And he wants to make a point for the jury. She's not qualified, or there are doubts. Maybe she's super qualified, but the dog bites and she didn't look there. That's the concept that he wants to transmit. And he understands that. That's the difference. The defense don't do that. I'm sorry, they're great lawyers, but they're not doing that. Not for me. They're too stuck in the weeds of, the columns and the spreadsheets. Listen, you have to go into the weeds of the information. They all have to do that. But what I'm referring to is that when they come back, they just continue. So today, Brennan, it was really hard for him because Dr. Russell is, she's somebody who's very likable. She's super hyper qualified. But I'm sorry, after a long time, and he remains there. Pay attention. He doesn't stop. He would just go at it. He continues, and then he starts talking in a slow voice. So you notice that, like a snake, the snake that he is, what an asshole, but he is good. He is brilliant. And by the end, and you can see that Dr. Russell, she hates him. Everybody hates that guy, but he's effective. So hopefully the jury will perceive that. We'll talk about that a little later. I don't know, but remember last year, you have PTSD? So do I. So Brennan, he starts like a snake that he is. He starts suffocating his witness, well, not his, but the defense's witness. I mean, today we had Nicholas Barrows talking about the taillight, that it was just cracked, not totally damaged. And so, I mean, you hear that, he's describing, and then he's describing in the photo, and you're like, we should go home now, right? It's over. Hold Brennan's beer. Did you see his cross-examination? What did you think? Because people don't like to see reality. I'm sorry, but a lot of you are not seeing that. And you don't like when I start to say, well, Brennan is effective. That's not good. You have to be objective. This isn't just about, cheering on for one side. I mean, we're doing something more, right? We don't need convincing. We know the truth. Of course, she's been framed. But Brennan was brilliant today. Now, I hate it. Now, it doesn't work on me. I know what I see. But we're talking about, the jury from last year. Incomprehensibly, their main narrative in deliberations, according to Ronnie the juror, was that Karen Reed was there, John O'Keefe was there, he died, therefore she did it. That's what they had in mind. You think that's crazy, right? I do. They almost convicted Karen Reed on the lesser charge, which is what the Commonwealth wants. They don't care about the murder charges. They know that they're never going to go for that. But psychologically, and this is what I want to talk about, the mind tactics. Put that in your head. The dark side studies that shit 24/7. It's all they educate themselves on. Mind tactics, manipulation, everything they can, take in to learn how to be more and more effective, which is what this lawyer, Hank Brennan, is doing. They know what they're doing. He's disgusting, and everybody's like emotionally reacting. Oh my God, he's disrespecting Dr. Russell. That's his job. Now, in theory, the prosecution's job is to look for the truth. But we have to look at reality, right? We've accepted the reality that these people are disgusting, they're corrupt, and they want to put Karen Reed in jail. All right? That's the reality. It shouldn't be, but it is. We have to deal with that. And that's my point. We have to look at the reality of what is the jury perceiving. Are they going to be completely moronic like last year and the stuff that we heard about the jury deliberation, which is, it's just insane. But you have to accept that you could have that again. Well, we don't know. They're younger this year. I don't know what that means. Do you? Do you really think that she's going to be not guilty this time for sure? 100%? I'm not sure. And I can tell you, last year, everybody thought it was going to be a non-guilty verdict. And I was like, no, I can see that there's a lot of mind tactics here. I don't know what it means, but something is going on. Well, remember the shenanigans during deliberations, the jury, picking the jury, removing those who were pro Karen Reed in an obvious way because of their facial expressions. So I don't know how people can be so confident. I wasn't confident last year. Last year, I talked about mind exhaustion, how the Commonwealth was using mind tactics of exhaustion. This year, I would give you another word, attrition. This is war. And Brennan and Judge Bev, who is a CU next Tuesday, they are being very effective. And they're using the law coloring just outside the line, lots of bureaucratic shit. The defense needs to wake up. They need to throw, spaghettis at the wall, shit at the wall until something sticks. And I've said that so much today, and everybody's like, but Bev, she doesn't let anything from the defense, and she won't let them. Okay, that's the reality. What are you going to do? Lie down and take it in? Because that's what it seems to me. This might be shocking for some of you. The defense is taking in. Sure, they're good, but they're allowing a lot of things to just, they do preserve the record for some things. Today we had the motion for mistrial with prejudice, and it should have been that. Remember the Baldwin trial? I don't care what you think about Baldwin. I don't care about Baldwin. I care about watching a trial. The prosecutor was a train wreck, and the judge did the right thing. Mistrial with prejudice. It was crazy. I watched it live. Okay? So that's what matters to me. So in this case, you have to see that you have everything against you as a defense lawyer, as a defendant. Well, learn from it. Just throw spaghetti at the wall, protest, make noise, present one motion after another, whatever. Do all, just multiply exponentially. Make it bigger, see what sticks. Because that's what the Commonwealth is doing. Like, do you think they think that the murder charges are going to stick? No, they want the lesser charge. That's what they're looking for. Remember last year with the jury? That's what the Commonwealth wants. They know that the murder charge is just too much. They don't have the case for it. But if it can, confuse the jurors, if you have just a few dimwits over there and, a plant like last year, I don't know if they're going to be able to do that. I don't know. But they're going to retry this shit until they get what they want. That I can tell you. And listen, I said that last year. And everybody thought, they're not going to retry. And I say, oh yeah, they will. Because I know what I've seen. And what I saw last year was a corrupt environment, an organized crime environment doing their thing. And I know shit about that. Okay? I know about that shit, actually. That's what I wanted to say. So here's the thing. The defense is not focusing enough on conceptualizing what it is that they want to transmit to the jury, in my opinion. They get lost in the weeds of, the spreadsheets. And listen, today with Dr. Russell, if you remember, LSE started. He had to do the direct. That's what he has to do. Then Brennan came with the snake thing. He hypnotizes the witnesses. I mean, did you see Barros? God. So, and then suddenly, Dr. Russell is like, she's completely destabilized with this guy because he's awful to her and we all see it, but he's doing his job. Okay? That's what a sleazy lawyer does. And he's a sleazy one. He's a lawyer for the mob. And if you think that his reputation is ruined, for the love of God, grow up and live in the real world. He has a line queuing up of all the sleazy, disgusting criminals that exist in the area, willing to pay him a fortune with black money that they have to be their lawyer. Okay, that's the real world. Nothing's going to happen to Hank Brennan. You think his reputation is ruined? No, it's not. He's going to be more successful than ever because he's willing to do anything. All right? And he is in a corrupt environment. He has his friends here, his friends there. Just look at how much money these people make, just the police officers I found out today. It's insane. No wonder there's so much corruption and everybody, wants to preserve their job. They make a shit ton of money, these people. Anyway, so I think that the defense needs to, be absolutely way more petty with bureaucratic stuff and motions and hearings and whatever the fuck, anything. 100 times a day. Brennan does it, doesn't he? I think the defense needs to realize that they are lost in the weeds. So I lost my train of thought, but after Brennan did the snake thing and Dr. Russell did hold her own much better than in previous hearings. So she has learned, but she's still she concedes so many things and she says words that I'm like, don't say that. So she tried hard, but Brennan got what he wanted. And then Alessi came back and he makes her read a peer-reviewed article about methodology. Who the fuck cares? Nobody cares. The jury already, knows what the argument is, that she's competent. They either will think she's competent or not to make a judgment. They don't care about an article. This is what I mean about the defense needing to wake up. Wake up. We don't give a shit. I'm like, this is going over my head. My brain is fried with information. Give me something that makes an impression on me. You see, Brennan does make an impression on me. Obviously, I don't believe him, but I'm pretty sure that at least one juror is going to believe that shit. And if it's the same jury as last year, a lot of them. So that's what I'm worried about. So think about what it is, because Brennan, he goes in again, like I said, he stays there. He doesn't lose patience. He goes there and he knows what he wants to do. You know what he wants to do? Make the witness talk, because eventually they're going to say something and he's going to pounce like the snake that he is. I don't know if snakes pounce, but whatever, you get my point. He just takes every opportunity, and he knows that he gets under Dr. Russell's skin. He knows it. And he knows that people dislike him. He knows it. And he doesn't care. Why? Because what he does is effective. Because the jury is going to be, that's a great point. That's actually a good point. Well, she did admit that this isn't sure. And he just insists on that. So he goes from different angle. If you pay attention, he has a concept. I'm going to discredit her methodology, whatever. Okay? She's going to be illegitimate by the end of my cross. And he just goes at it. And then from one angle, from another. But it's the same shit. The same thing for 1 hour and a half. And he's going to stay there. The defense never does that. I'm sorry, they don't. But he does. And he remains. And then he starts walking. Did you hear his voice? He started to talk very slow. So, I'm sorry, but you know this and that. He did the same with Barrows. And she was like, well, okay, so she was a bit more combative. I don't know if he convinced a lot of people, but by the end, he was hammering and repeating. That's another thing he does. After he's got his victim there and he starts suffocating, he just goes boom, 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 again and again and again and again. You know what happens with mind tricks? Your mind is so fragile. It's not going to remember anything but this thing that is making an impression. I'm sorry, but that's what happens. And then unless he comes back and he's like, let's talk about methodology. No, tell me about how botched the chain of custody was. I mean, Aidan Carney, Turtle Boy, he was posting those things. They're like, this is what Alessi should be talking about, not methodology. Who gives a shit? Okay, so on redirect, just bring something and talk about it from different angles like Brennan is doing and repeat it again and again. I mean, he repeats, and that the jury got it. Here's the thing, at the end of the trial, the jury is not going to look at their notes, 2 months worth of notes. You think they're going to read everything? Let me just go, this was a column. No, they're not. They're going to be left with an impression. Obviously, closing arguments will have an impact as well, but the entire case cannot rest on closing arguments. They're going to have an impression, and based on that, they're going to do the fact-finding business in the deliberation room. So you need to provide them with a lot of that. So listen, I know that the defense has the truth on their side. They have a lot of evidence. But that's not how it works, unfortunately. You have to look at reality. And Brennan is very good. Will he be effective? I don't know, but I think way more than you would want to admit. I'm sorry, but he's very, very good. He's very good, I think. So anyway, they need to, make noise, protest. They need to think about, concepts and stop getting lost in, data and information. Because a jury is not going to remember anything. They're going to remember, okay, that Dr. Russell thinks those were dog bites. But Brennan spent an hour hammering his point about, but actually, you don't know this. That's true. She admitted. He does that all the time. He takes a word, something that they admit, and he goes with it. He did the same with Barrows. You would think after Barrows testified today, well, that's not what the taillight looked like. It was only cracked, not destroyed. You would think that it would be the end of the trial. Well, hold Brennan's beer. And again, he approached like this. I mean, he had that guy hypnotized and he was not confident. By the way, dark people, I call them dark just to be quicker, criminals, whatever. I mean, sleazy people, they know that. They know. Just like predators know how to take advantage of their victims. This is exactly the same thing, okay? The preys, the predators and the preys. So this guy knows. I mean, I was looking at Barrows and I was like, and Brennan completely destabilized him. And then he was like hypnotized, repeating every word that Brennan was saying. Did you notice that? Or do you not want to see it? Because Barrows, I mean, I was thinking, man, the defense must be pulling their hair because this guy just admitted, yeah, my memory is faulty, man. Well, you're going to say, well, but he still says that what he saw is what he saw. Yeah, but will the jury remember that, just that, or say that, maybe there was something? You don't think that 1 or 2 or 5 morons might think, might believe that, seeing the defense lawyer in a hotel, even though, of course, there was nothing nefarious, but look the great point that Hank made. Well, this could have been done on the phone. That's a great point. And it's true. You may not want to admit it, but it's true. The other day, we were all pulling our hair because Lieutenant Tully, or detective now, sergeant, whatever, was driving, who was it, Welcher or Burgess? He picked him up at the airport and everybody was like, oh, this is so inappropriate. Well, why did this guy go and see the defense at a hotel just to talk about, scheduling stuff? I'm sorry, but Brennan made a good point. So that's the kind of stuff, if you don't want to see it, I mean, that's fine, but you might be in for quite a ride at the end. So listen. You need to tell the jury things. You need to leave them with an impression because when this all ends and they go and deliberate, they're going to have something in their body. Something will have left a mark. And that's what Brennan is doing. I'm telling you, the defense, when they make a point, and they've made a lot of great point, they leave it there. They have a pregnant pause. That's what they do. They're like, okay, they take a break before they ask the next question about another subject, or they finish, but they just try to leave the jury with the impression that they made, but they just leave it there. Brennan doesn't do that. He hammers it. He repeats it from one angle and another, and it's the same subject. Defense doesn't do that. They're like, oh, I made my point, and then they go to another subject or they sit down. I don't know. I'm just paying attention to those things because of last year, not because I need convincing. I don't need convincing. Of course, she's not guilty, for the love of God. Of course, this is absolutely insane. So anyway, I'm going to end my rant, but I think it's very healthy to try to have more objectivity and also to look at others. Because listen, I watch a lot of lawyers and their commentary. So you have the public, everybody wants their rainbows and unicorns. I'm sorry. Then you have lawyers who are really good at educating us about, the process and whether, how they evaluate the evidence and the tactics and things like that. I'm sorry, but that's not the jury. The jury, they're not lawyers. That's not the way that the jury is going to perceive things. I don't know what to tell you. I'm hoping that, in the end, we're going to have a positive outcome. And listen, I see a lot of people saying, well, they're preserving the records, doing all of the things for appeals, for appeal. What do you think is going to happen on appeal? She hasn't won a single appeal so far. And you'd think that there's substance there, but nothing. And an appeal, it takes ages, years. And then most of the time, nothing happens. So you can't think like that. You have to fight. And it doesn't matter if it's unfair and hard. Just go and fight. Throw shit at the wall. Whatever. Anything and everything. I mean, I can't believe what I've witnessed today with Nicholas Barrows. In my opinion, Brennan completely destroyed that guy. And now it's up to the jury and what their emotions are. Whereas when Barrows testified at first, it was like, this is an objective fact. It's over. We're done. But then Brennan was like, well, you didn't describe it in the report. And what is your memory? And what is this? And what was your statement last year? I remembered the guy, but I couldn't remember. Did he comment on the photo? I mean, again, I couldn't remember. Well, he was not crossed by the defense last year. So he only answered basically one question by Lally, who, I mean, I guess he did that to get in front of the situation because this witness is devastating. But Brennan undressed him. I'm sorry, but he did. And the guy he was lacking confidence. He was, I'm telling you, drinking from his word. Yes, my memory is faulty. And I was like, what the fuck are you saying? You're letting this guy completely destroy you. You don't have to. I mean, again, a good person trying to do the right thing. Well, you don't thrive as a good person doing the right thing in the world of snakes. And this is what we're dealing with. I'm sorry. You know, I have the scars for that shit. I know what you're all feeling. I know we hate it, but reality is a place where shitty people thrive. Look around you. You think good people, moral people, thrive in this world? No, they don't. They get crushed and victimized. Come on, we know that. So anyway, end of my rant. It's already 26 minutes. I can't believe it. Anyway, I'll see you next time. Oh, God, I hope we have a good outcome. Thank you for watching.